There we go. Any minute now. Are we live? Are we live? Are we live, Al?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Al, you're no use to me. What's the matter with you? I can't hear Al.
I was muted because I didn't want to disrupt when he started. You are live, as you know.
Well, I wasn't sure, actually. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all of you. Are you wondering why there are three beautiful, gorgeous women looking right back at you all? Are you wondering who are these people? Yes, we have people on the sofa now. Graham Norton, eat your heart out, because I have the most incredible, beautiful guests. So let's start the show as we always do. First of all, my spirit guide, Gregor, who is standing between Claudio and I. And he says, so we say good morning to him. We're saying good morning to Claudia, to Marta. Say good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, you see, they're beautiful, these accents. Now, would you like to, and we're going to say good morning to Carolyn.
Good morning, Carolyn.
And, of course, our darling Al. Say good morning, Al.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we have an interesting show this morning. Now, you might think, who are these beautiful ladies sitting next to Rosemary? Well, I think I've talked, and we've talked on YouTube before, and if you haven't seen it, go back and look at the YouTubes. To when we have talked to, I think, Claudia, we did talk once on, you came on YouTube and asked a question, I think, once before, and we've talked about Claudia's son, Tomas.
Yes.
And Tomas is an earth angel. Imagine being the mother of an earth angel. Wow. I mean, that's got to be something. Is it something? What do you feel about that?
Emotionally, and I always I'm always aprendiendo, learning about him every day.
Every day. Where's that photograph? Could you hand that photograph to me, please? We're just going to, am I allowed to do this? Can we show everyone?
Yes.
This week we have a photo of Tomas, who I have seen, Tomas has visited me here in this very house. And when the new book comes out, you're going to read Tomas' story, which Claudia has allowed me to write. So you're going to read his story and how Tomas came to me to talk to me. I mean, how can he do that? Because as you're aware, we're talking about him. He's still with us. He's still on this earth plane. So he was able to leave his body and come to me to visit with me, to talk to me about his mother and about his father and about his family. And he was able to talk to me about all sorts of things. And he told me that he was an earth angel, and my spirit guide, Great Eagle, confirmed, yes, he is an earth angel. So we have an earth angel in our midst because, yes. Do you think that Tomas was going to be left out of this today?
See, Tomas? Say it again.
Do you think that Tomas was going to be left out today?
No.
He's here with us.
No, I don't know.
No, he's here. He is here. He's here with us.
He's here.
He's here with us in spirit. So, okay. So we have four of us on the sofa. Well, five of us if you count Gregor. We have me. We have Marta, and we have Claudia and Tomas, who is, I see him out of the corner of my eye, smiling. His beautiful, beautiful smile. All right. So, all right, I think before we get carried away then, I know we've got lots of questions. Well, I'm hoping that actually we've got lots of questions. I'm jiggling about on the sofa. There's not a lot of room here, but I'm jiggling about just the same. Poor Claudia is almost on my knee. We had to sort of snuggle up a bit. We don't have the big sofa like Graham Norton does, and we don't have the, Graham Norton's sofa's red and mine is not, as you can see, but nevertheless we're doing our best. We're snuggling up here. So why don't we dive in then with our first question? Al, do you want to have the first question, please?
Sure. Nate is actually kind of a comment and request.
Good morning, Nate.
Nate, Nate is going to have an operation on May 8th, and he would love it if he could have a special word from you or Grey Eagle before the operation on how to proceed. The operation's on his prostate.
I'm sorry, tell me that last piece again. The operation what?
It's a prostate operation on May 8th. And he would love it if he could have a special word from you or Grey Eagle before the operation on how to proceed. And if it's too much, let me know.
No, it isn't too much at all. First of all, we'll make a note of that, Nate, and on that particular day, we'll be sending you special healing energy. And on that particular day, I'm sure that Grey Eagle and his helpers will be there with you. So please don't worry about that. I think it's going to be okay. I think if you want to prepare for it, which I think is probably what you're asking, how do we prepare to go into these things? Because, it is a bit scary, even if it's a small thing, it can be a scary thing. So, I want you to try, you know just as well as I do how well meditation works, Nate. So why don't you put yourself in a state of meditation? If you have one of my meditation tapes, I'm going to suggest that you should play the Not Perfect Yet Still Beautiful, which is always a good one, but you may have your own meditation tapes, or simply just play some really beautiful music that you like to listen to and just prepare yourself in that way. But you mustn't worry about it, because I think those in the spirit world are already preparing for you and you're going to be fine. But I know now, Claudia, you do meditation, right?
Right.
And do you teach meditation?
No.
You don't teach?
Sí enseño.
What is it you do?
I close my eyes and I breathe slowly, and I just quiet.
You stay quiet.
Yes.
You stay still. And really that's all we need to do. But different people have their own way of meditating and their own ideas of meditation. So if you need to know more about that, let me know. But Nate, I think you've done this a trillion times, so I think that's what you need to do. Let's have our next. Did you say you had a comment as well, or not, Al?
No, it was a comment / question.
Okay, all right. Carolyn, let's have a question, can we?
We've got Audrey wrote in with 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one, if someone isn't able to have children or adopt in the physical world, are they able to have children in the spirit world?
Oh, gosh.
Good question.
I've never had that question put to me before. I have to ask Grey Eagle about that one. The simple answer is, and this comes from Grey Eagle, that if we want to, we open our arms and we gather all of those to us who we wish to be with. And if there are children amongst that group, then those children can be ours to care for, to nurture, and to love. So I'm not sure in the physical sense we can give birth, but certainly there are children in the spirit world who need our help and need our care and need our love. And I know that I was talking to a young man Tuesday or yesterday. I've lost my times and dates here, but I was talking to a young man who is one of those who's going to be helping children in his way. He passed into the spirit world under very tragic circumstances, and he was just a joy to talk to. So I talked to him on, I think it must have been Tuesday. He was a real joy to talk to, and just a lovely person to be around. So when we pass into the spirit world, if we want to help, if we want to participate with children who may be feeling a bit lonely, or they're missing their parents, or for whatever reason they need help and guidance, certainly, Audrey, you can be involved in that process. Certainly. Let's have our next question, Al.
Okay, so Greg asks.
Good morning, Greg.
He actually heard from other mediums we can take on any appearance in heaven. What is your view on this?
Sounds a bit like shapeshifters, really, doesn't it? I'm not sure, really. My question would be, why would you want to? Why would you want to take on any shape or form other than your own? So I'm going to disagree with that, because I can't, number one, I can't see the point of it. And number two, you know, why would you want to? Don't you want to be, because when we pass into the spirit world, we take with us our etheric body, spirit body, the same shape and size as our physical body. And, you know, but that the etheric body is much stronger and indestructible. With that, we can travel anywhere we want. We can go anywhere we want to go. But who we are is not necessarily the shape that we are. Who we are is who we are inside of ourselves. Just as here on this earth plane, who we are is not how we look. I mean, I know that you know, Marta's a bit worried because her hair is all over the place, and she thinks it is, but it actually looks gorgeous, and it's not all over the place at all. But we worry, don't we? My daughter called this morning. She says, "Oh, I can't talk to them. I've got no makeup on." It's not who we are on the outside that is important. It's who we are on the inside that is important. I don't know why. You know, maybe the mediums that you've spoken to, Craig, know more than I do. Maybe they just know more than I do. I would want to know. Well, I would never tell anyone that because I've never heard of it before. And why would you want to do it anyway? That would be my answer right there. Let's have our next question, Al.
We have actually a comment from Denise in regards to what you said.
Good morning.
As she said, many people suffer greatly from self-hate, and she prefers to believe we are not our bodies but our souls.
Exactly. Thank you for that, darling. Thank you. You're absolutely right. And, you know, I know that there are lots of people who don't like the way they look. Truthfully, every one of us can find one little bit of ourselves that, I wish, what do I wish about me? Not a lot, really. I'm perfectly happy with myself. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to be, more voluptuous, younger, No, it wouldn't. I'm happy with who I am. But I know there are a lot of people who are not. And that's about building on what's inside of you. And this is what our online classes are going to be about, building on who you are, building on finding your own worth, your own self-worth, and developing the ability to be able to look at yourself. And you might, as I would say, I'm not the most beautiful woman in the world by any means, but I'm not bad. I'm perfectly happy with myself. I'm fine. And as long as I'm happy with myself, that's all that's important to me. And it's all that should be important to all of us. Carolyn, did you want to say something? I know. Yes. You see, go, look, I hear the breath.
Thomas talked to me about that, about this. And he tell me that I don't worry about envejecer, to be old, to get old, because the most important thing is inside of me. And he told me that I diga esto, tell people that.
Good. So you're the voice of your son now, which is perfect, right? So this boy, how old is he now?
18 years.
And how old was he when I first knew him?
10 years.
10. And even at 10 years old, he had such wisdom. He really does have, he is an earth angel after all, and he does have such wisdom. And it's just wonderful that you're able to say this and to tell people that this is what he told you, to say what is within us is the most important thing. And this comes from an earth angel. This message comes from an earth angel. So you'd all better pay attention. Carolyn?
Starshine 68.
Good morning, Starshine 68. Who is that? That's
Denise.
Denise. Good morning, Denise.
Just wanted to say you were absolutely beautiful inside and out, Rosemary.
Oh, thank you.
It's Donna, not Denise.
Could you just give me more? Give me more. I love the accolades. Just kidding. Thank you, darling. Thank you. And it's Donna.
Yes.
Good morning, Donna. Let's please not get muddled up. I'm going to say something right now. Okay, I'm going to say something that somebody might not appreciate, but I'm going to say it just the same. You all know that we had our wonderful competition, And we had so many entries, and you all know that I read every single one of them right through. I read everyone's story. But this morning we had someone saying that it wasn't fair because I hadn't told you that you could write up to 600 words, which actually is not true, because I've been saying up to 600 words for weeks. And if anyone would care to go back and take a look and have a look and see on the previous YouTubes that I did say up to 600 words. However, I want to just say this, that the winners, at least two of the winners, actually kept it to under 500 words. So it wasn't that people won because of how many words. It was that they won because their content was exactly what I'd asked for. Now, I know that there are always people who are going to be disgruntled. And this person wrote in and she said, it's not fair because you didn't tell us we could have 600 words. And I can assure you, if you only wrote 400 words, I would have read your story and taken it into context exactly as I would someone who wrote 1,200 words who was disqualified because 1,200 words was way too much. So, you know, please don't be disgruntled, and there'll be other competitions. So, you know, I'm going to say, stop being a sourpuss. I'm not going to mention the name of this lady. I hope she's still watching. She may not be watching after today, but stop being a sourpuss. Just understand I did read your story and it was a wonderful story. And I appreciate you writing and I appreciate the competition, but that's how competitions are. Some people win, some people lose, and that's the end of that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's have our next question, Carolyn, can we? I just wanted to get that out of the way before we move on.
Audrey had her second question, and it has to do with Chris's question, actually. So I'm going to read Audrey's first. It's great to avoid those who are negative. However, how do you avoid the negative energy of coworkers since it's at a job that you don't want to leave?
Oh, that's tough.
Now, Chris's question is, what motivates each of the soul groups and even soul signs specifically to do something? Fire, air, earth, and water.
She's asking what motivates.
Right.
What motivates them? Well, it's all about energy, Chris. So good morning, Chris. It's all about energy. And Audrey, I'm a bit lost with the question. I'm going to just, I don't even know why you put them together. I'm not sure. But no, I'm just not, I wasn't sure about Chris's question, to be honest. But let's do the co-worker thing, right? Have you girls ever worked with someone that you didn't like or that had bad negative energy?
No, not me. We are psychologists and we work independent, like by ourselves. So we don't have, we don't share.
Oh, but you're psychologists, so you must have people who come to you with very negative energy.
That's it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Both psychologists. It's getting a bit tricky. Makes you wonder what they're going to think about us, don't you think? Or me, should I say? Makes you think. You're not assessing me, are you?
No.
Got something to talk about on that long flight home.
Good luck. Good luck with that. Good luck with that if that's what you want to do. All right. But the negative energy thing. Oh, I know this because I had a boss who not only had negative energy, but he had evil intentions as well. So Audrey, I know where you're coming from, and it's very, very hard if you don't want to give up your job. But what you have to do is this. You understand that other people don't change. They won't change. It's up to you to change. So it's up to you to change how you are when you're around them. It's up to you to put on your most positive energy, grit your teeth and do it no matter what, or to find spaces in the day where you can take a break from those people. But instead of looking at them as people with negative energy, if you can look at them with some sympathy, if you can look at them with understanding, because these people with negative energy are usually people who are very unhappy, very, very unhappy with themselves. And so if you can look at them as unhappy, you're going to be more tolerant, you're going to be kinder, you're going to be gentler, because after all, don't you wish that you could reach out and help them? I'm not suggesting that you do, but by helping them, by giving them a smile or just being positive around them, Try not to judge them too harshly. I know it's hard because when you're steeped in negative energy with other people and you're surrounded by negative energy, it's very hard not to be pulled down by it yourself. But if you look at them, you know, they're just little human beings. As I will say, I'm just one little human being, just a little human being on this planet, trying my best, as are those co-workers who are obviously struggling and are obviously having difficult times in their lives. If you can look at it from that point of view, try to see, this is what the competition was about, trying to see things from a different perspective, trying to look at things from a different point of view. And so if you can try and do that, you might feel a little better about it. Claudia, I feel, do you want to say something to this lady who's having to work in this?
I don't speak very well English, so I'm sorry. Yes,
But she does want to say something. Good.
When I meet with a negative energy in the person, I just look that person and hear, and muchas veces, a lot of time, I feel that the people don't want to change.
Right.
Then I just recommend the people around the negative energy. Se proteja tu distancia.
To separate themselves.
Separate.
To separate
Yes,
themselves. To stand back from it.
Yes, because it's an election.
You can choose.
You can choose. I know the people can choose.
Yes, even if you're in a work environment with people, you can choose to buy into the negativity, or you can choose to, on an emotional level, you can remove yourself from it.
Yeah.
So if you can, first of all, look at that person, understand that that person is unhappy, you might be a little bit more tolerant, and being a little bit more tolerant, it might help you to deal with it better. And if that doesn't work, as Claudia suggests, remove yourself on a, just, I have a friend of mine who had to work in an awful environment. And I said, if you just imagine that they're ghosts, or that you are a ghost walking through them, and you don't have to touch them, you don't have to deal with them, you put yourself in a bubble, you put yourself in a safe place where it does not affect you. Don't allow it to affect you. If it is affecting you, once you know what's going on and it's still affecting you, then that's your issue and you're buying into it. So don't buy into it. Al, do you have anything to say about that briefly before we move on?
No, just that I had a similar experience with a very negative boss.
I remember you called to complain about her all the time.
It turned out, though, as I got to know her, I realized, she had no relationship with her father, and then when she was 13 or 14, her father came around and she developed the relationship, and then he suddenly passed away when she was 15. So, there's things that, like you said, you empathize and you understand, or try to understand, because you don't know what's driving, them to be how they are. And in the end, it's their choice to get out of that, yes, but you still don't necessarily understand.
It's also your choice, each person's choice, to not buy into that also.
Right.
So if you can't change it, remove yourself on an emotional level. Just stand back and just allow them to be ghosts moving through you and around you. Don't let them touch you. This is from someone who doesn't actually believe in ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts, but you know what I mean. You know the gist of what I'm saying. Carolyn, a question. Do we have a question?
Yes, Adrian.
Good morning, Adrian.
Rosemary, I was sitting in my living room and heard my name called 2 times.
Ooh.
No one was around, and it really scared me. It sounded like my dad, but he's alive. Can you tell me who might have been?
I can't actually say who it might have been. It could probably be a grandfather. And Gregor has his hand on my shoulder as I'm saying that, so I'm going to go with that for you. But let me just say this, that when a person hears their name called by those in the spirit world, it is apparently the greatest accolade. So there is someone out there in the spirit world who perhaps knows that you maybe need a little encouragement right now, that you might need to know that someone loves you dearly. And obviously someone in the spirit world does. When you hear your name called, it's a very special accolade and you should be thrilled to pieces. I wouldn't worry too much about who it is. I think it probably is a grandfather of some kind. So, you know, or that sort of family connection, but how wonderful for you. Don't be scared, darling. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Al, a question.
Yeah, first, Greg actually clarified. He was the one that asked if we can kind of shape shift in the afterlife.
Shape shifting.
Yeah, but he really he was just really curious if we keep our appearance or not.
If we keep our appearance, yes, we do pretty much. I think I don't know how for long. Sorry, I don't know how long for, but yes, we do. It's an interesting thing because you know, we as I say, the etheric body, the spirit body, the body that we use to carry us from this earth plane to the next is the same shape, the same size, so on and so forth. But there are no encumbrances. For instance, you know, we don't have you know, if we lost a limb, the etheric body is whole, it's complete. It doesn't, you know, there are no aches and pains. We don't have to suffer with the physical, with the body, with the bodily aches and pains, with the bodily harms and so on and so forth. I'm thinking about David, a young man whose mother came to see me, very much like Claudia came to see me about her son. And David had been born with severe cerebral palsy, and he was his physical body was completely deformed. But when he passed, his mother came to see me, and I saw David, and he was healthy. He had no deformities whatsoever. He told his mother that not only could he speak, he could hear, he could speak, but that he was playing football. And that was like a huge thing, because for his entire life, I think he was 11 or 12 years old when he passed. For his entire life, he laid on the sofa, was unable to do anything at all. So so we do take with us the etheric body. I'm not sure if we're hugely fat and we don't like it, if we have to stay fat anymore. I don't know about that. When I see people in the spirit world, though, I see them, they come to me in a way that I can describe them, and I can recognize that the people I'm talking to who have come to me can recognize when I describe them. But if we don't want to be fat, I don't think we have to stay fat. If we don't want to be thin, I don't think we have to do that. I think we can be, you know, healthy mind, healthy body. And as long as we have a healthy mind, as long as our soul is well and healthy and learning and growing, that is the most important thing. And I think that what we actually look like, you know, it doesn't matter anymore. It's really of no importance whatsoever. When you see someone in the spirit world, it's like meeting someone. You can see them in their entirety. You can see everything that they are. We three ladies are sitting on this sofa. We're all gorgeous. We'll agree with that, won't we? We're all gorgeous in our own way, right? We look perfectly well and healthy. But, you know, there are lots of things that people, when you look at a person here on this earth, you can't see what's inside of them. You can't see what's going on with them. You can't see if there's beauty inside as well as outside. You can't see if that person is in trauma. You know, you can't tell a thing by looking at a person, unless, of course, you're psychic, as I am. You can't really see people as they really are. But when you see people in the spirit world, you can't hide yourself. You're as transparent as it's possible to be. Your aura shines through, your energy shines through. So anything that you are and anything that you feel and anything that you're thinking shines through. So there's no hiding anything once you're in the spirit world, which is a bit of a scary thing, really, isn't it, when you think about it? But at the same time, all of a sudden, what we look like physically becomes completely unimportant to us. It's totally unimportant. If you see someone coming towards you who has, let's say, nefarious intent, not nice intentions, you'll see it in a heartbeat. They can't hide anything from you whatsoever. Carolyn.
I was just thinking, have you ever seen the show The Voice, the music show?
Yes. Did you get The Voice,
No.
the music show? It's a competition for the best voice.
Right, and they don't see the people that are singing. Wouldn't it be neat if the world worked like that?
So the judges don't see the people. They only hear the voice. They only hear the voice.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah,
You're right,
that'd be
Carolyn. That would be wonderful if all we are you all right?
Yes.
I think she's in the crack, actually, in the cushion crack. She's just sinking down slowly. Yeah.
Denise has a question.
Good morning, Denise.
I understand that it's...
Is this your third question, Denise?
No, I think this is it.
Is this a different Denise?
We have at least two Denise.
Oh, all right,
Yes.
then. Okay.
I understand you said that it's rare to have a spirit guide. However, you mentioned our angels will be there to help. Are these guardian angels you speak of?
Well, yes. We all have our guardians. This is a bit tricky. There are angels everywhere. There are earth angels. We have angels who actually live on this earth, as Tomas does. There are angels that come in many forms, many guises. But we also have those angels who bring us to deliver us to this earth, and we have those angels who come for us when we leave this earth. So yes, there are lots of angels, and they have lots of different things to do, lots of different jobs to do. Tomas, as an earth angel, he is here to teach us, while we're still here on this earth, he's here to teach us so many things. And as difficult as it has been for you, Claudia, as a mother, I'm sure that Tomas has taught you many things, right?
Yes.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. Has he taught you many things?
Yes, a lot of things.
Yeah. And he's taught you all about pain and heartache also, right?
Yes. Sí. Sí, me habla de dolor.
Sí. No, si te enseñó eso acerca del dolor.
Yes. He taught me about lo que estábamos hablando antes.
They don't understand each other, you say, right?
No.
What chance do we have?
Use.
The
spiritual world.
Yeah.
The spiritual world. The people can.
He taught you about the spiritual world.
Yes, he told me that I have an intimate preocupación. I need to every day estar comunicada, communicate with Thomas. Anyway, and he taught me communicate about our minds.
Yes.
With our minds.
Yes.
And he told me that the people in the spiritual world, when we contact with them,
yeah,
we can communicate with our
minds.
Yes,
it's true. You're doing really well. You're doing very well. Don't ever doubt that we can all understand you. So everyone out there needs to say, yes, of course, we can all understand. I can understand you perfectly well.
Yes.
So you're doing
Okay.
really well. And I think it's wonderful that Tomas has been able to teach you things, but our angels teach us so many, many things. And I think we're up for the next question now.
Real quick.
Oh,
Jen and Bob. Jen's here with us.
Jen, good morning.
Yes.
Hi, darling.
And the other thing is, we have a question.
Say hi to Bob. Lots of love and kisses.
We have a question from Ashley.
Good morning, Ashley.
But if you'd like to give any information on the situation that I talked with you about with my granddaughter regarding this, you can. Ashley's question is, hi, I would like to know if it is appropriate to take a 10-year-old to a medium. He wants to hear from his mom.
All right, so am I allowed to then
Yes,
talk? All right, so we do have a situation. Who's asking that? That's Ashley. So we do have a situation here, which is not actually my situation, but it's Carolyn's situation. A very good friend. In fact, Carolyn's granddaughter is 6, and her best BFF, her best friend's mother, died. Under difficult circumstances, that's all we're going to say about that. But her mother died. And because of this situation, Carolyn's granddaughter hasn't seen her friend for a little while and has become quite worried about her. So Carolyn asked me about what she should do about it. Carolyn felt, like many of you feel, I'm not going to tell a 6-year-old about somebody who died. It's too much for a little girl to understand, and so on and so forth. But my feeling is this: better to tell your child yourself in your way, so that you know that you're telling them in a way that's right, than for them to hear it from someone else. So I suggested that, different ways that Carolyn should approach her granddaughter, and to talk to her about the fact that her best friend's mom had passed into the spirit world. And apparently I haven't spoken to Carolyn since then. That was on Tuesday, I think. And you told me briefly this morning that you'd spoken to your granddaughter last night. Was that right?
Yes.
And how did it go?
She was slightly upset, but has questions, but she's good.
Okay, so this is my belief, and I will get round to your question, I promise you, Ashley, but it frustrates me so much, and has for as long as I can remember. We teach our children from them being very tiny. We teach them about birth, we teach them about procreation, we teach them how babies come about, we teach them all about how, the wonderful thing about the beauty of babies being born, and we do that in our schools, we do that in our churches, we do that in our homes without thought. But we never teach our children about death, we never teach our children about dying. And it's really frustrating for me, because we all die sooner or later. Every one of us is going to die. And isn't it the one subject that for some reason or another it's taboo? Nobody wants to tell our children about it, because they're afraid that that our children might be upset by it. But yet dying, it's one of the most incredible and the most beautiful experiences that we're all of us going to go through. Every one of us, none of us escapes it. So to teach our children in the right way, in a careful way, in a gentle way, I feel is very important. So that when, for instance, I'm thinking of my own situation. We're teaching, my grandson is 5 years old. He knows that Mosey talks to ghosts. And he knows that ghosts, this is Halloween stuff, and he knows that ghosts are not really ghosts, but ghosts are people who live in heaven. That's what he knows. And that Mosey, I'm Mosey, by the way, he calls me Mosey. Mosey talks to people in heaven, and he knows that I do this. So he knows all about the fact that people die and then they go to heaven and so on. Now, whatever your belief and wherever you think we go to, do yourselves a huge favor and your children a huge favor, and teach them from the word go, from as soon as you know that they can understand. Don't make it a big thing. Don't make it a big deal. Death is an inevitable, and it's something that every single one of us goes through. And if we can teach our children to accept that, in many, many cultures, people do teach their children, but certainly in the Western culture, we avoid the issue of death and dying for some reason, because perhaps because we as adults are afraid of it also. So, don't be afraid. If you're going to take your son, was it?
Brother
And he's 10 years old, to a medium, I'm.
Make an appointment with Rosemary.
There you are. Karen says, make an appointment with me. I can't say that you should, nor should I say that you shouldn't, but I would say that you should be very careful as to who you do take him to. You need to go take him to someone who is real, who is sensible, who is gentle with children and knows how to teach children and knows how to be with children. So I'm going to say a cautious, very, very cautious, please be cautious who you take him to. But if you find someone who's really good and real, I've spoken to many children. People have brought their children to me for many reasons, on many occasions. And sometimes for not such good reasons. I had a little girl brought to me because she had been raped, but it turned out by a neighbor. And she was 6 or 7 years old at the time, and she was in trauma. Unfortunately, her parents brought her to see me, and we were able, through the spirit world, to help her tremendously. And in fact, that 6, 7-year-old came to me when she was in her early 20s. As I met her again, the first thing she did was give me a massive hug. And she learned then, through her trauma, about, the spirit world, that someone was watching her and watching over her and so on. Tell your children, don't be afraid to talk about death and dying, but do it in a way that's gentle and caring and right for them to hear it. As psychologists, you must get people coming to you. I don't know if you followed what we were saying, but you must get people coming to you with their children, right? Do you deal with children all?
Not me, but
yes,
yes, she does.
So, I mean, would you agree with what I've said, that we should talk to our children, not to be afraid of talking about death and dying?
Sure.
You would say that, Marta? What would you say?
The same as you say, that death is
It's
part of
part
their
of
life.
life,
Yeah,
yes.
and they have to talk with them natural.
Yes, in a natural way and an easy
Sure.
way.
Yes,
Sure.
very natural.
Yeah.
And with the truth.
Yes. And always, when you're dealing with children, I feel always with truth.
Yeah.
But
it's
truth.
easier than we think.
Yeah.
Easier than the adults.
Yeah, I think children are so much more accepting anyway.
Sure.
Yes.
It's the adults who are afraid, don't you think?
Yeah.
We're the
Yes.
ones who are afraid.
Oh, I was petrified. I felt
you
better
were-
after I spoke with you and you gave me some direction on how to speak about it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it was the best advice. I was so very thankful that I had talked to you.
Well, I know when I was talking to you, you were crying because
Yes.
you didn't really want to do it, did you? You felt that
I didn't want to hurt her
you
anymore.
felt that your granddaughter was too young and you didn't want to hurt her and you were very nervous about it. But far better for you to tell her than for someone who is insensitive to just come out and blurt it out, and you're in no control of it whatsoever. So,
And you did offer that if she had questions and I wanted her to speak with you, that you would speak with her. And I would have in a heartbeat had I felt like she needed to. Or
but
she might have
I
questions.
do feel that you I wouldn't have suggested to you if I didn't think you could handle it. So I do think, you were able to handle it, and I'm glad that you did it. And you must be relieved that you
Oh,
did
yes,
it.
I am. Yes. But
Okay.
your advice on what to say was the best.
I'm so good. Go on, you were going to say something.
The language. In the most of situation when we talk the child about death, we use simple words and examples for the tree and the hojas, leaves when
The leaves on the tree, when the leaves fall off the trees.
Yes, exactly.
So when you're describing death
Describing
to children,
death, yes.
that's a good way. So you're describing nature.
Yes,
You're
never talk about the heaven, because his mind is not prepared for understand that.
Right. So So Claudia's saying, don't talk about heaven, but actually my grandson knows all about heaven.
Yes,
So,
that's what
and
he's
he's
saying.
5.
Yeah.
It depends on your belief. It depends
Yes.
on, you know, how you bring your children up, what your beliefs are yourself. When I talk to children, because often in schools or they hear the word heaven mentioned and kids want to know, well, what is it? And I always just describe it as a garden, as a beautiful garden filled with flowers, which is which they can relate to.
Yes, yes.
And try to answer what they ask, not more.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is what I said to Carolyn. Don't keep talking.
Exactly.
Ask when the questions come. I've always had this with my daughter. When she asked a question, I would answer it, and then I would shut up, because there's a tendency to say more than the child is ready to want to know, or even is able to understand. When a child is ready, the child will ask. If that child is in an environment where he feels that he can ask. So back to Ashley again. Ashley, if you feel that your brother is asking, then that's because he's ready. Now it's your responsibility to make sure that he goes to someone, to see someone who is who's going to do this in the right way. So do your research before you take him somewhere. Al.
Yes. So we have just with that too. I think.
I knew you'd say something. Go on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't say anything to your children, and I think it depends on the child whether they're ready or not. But then their minds are going to, in my view, go to places that they will be scared, they will be not understand, and it could also be like in my situation with my own children, where they're confronted with it, because life happens. My father passed away, and they were all confronted with it. But I had those conversations with them before, and it was helpful that I did to help them through that process.
Good. All right, next question. Let's move on. Let's have our next question.
All right, so Donna, actually, a comment about all this.
Good morning. Donna, did you say?
Donna, yep.
Good morning, Donna.
Her grandson is 5. She was actually diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago, and she's made it her mission to make this transition a healthy experience for herself and for her grandson.
Good for you. Good for you, Donna. And I bet you're doing a fabulous job too. Do we have another question? Al, do you have another question there?
I don't. I'm looking through some
Carolyn?
of these.
Yeah, let's have Carolyn. Go ahead.
Adrian asks.
Morning, Adrian.
As everyone is listening to you right now, do you see everyone's loved ones in heaven like past? Do they try coming through?
No, I don't actually. I'm very much focused on what I'm doing. I'm not saying that there aren't people around, because there always are. But it's an interesting question. But no, unless Grey Eagle intends for me to notice someone, no, I don't usually. I usually am focusing on what I'm doing. It's a bit like when you go into a restaurant. The restaurant's crowded, but you don't necessarily see everybody who's in there. You only see the people who are there with you and who you're going to be with for however long a time. Just because there are people around doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to talk to them or notice them. It's just if somebody puts their hand up or waves at you furiously, that you might take a look and see who that might be. Just like if you're in a restaurant or a supermarket or anywhere else. Let's have our next question then.
Well, Jan just gave you your next book idea, I believe.
Uh-oh, Jan, I'm not writing another book.
I think you might. She says there are a few good children's books on this subject.
Yes, there are.
But there should be more.
Yes, you're quite right. Quite right.
And James Graham wants to know, is Al the guy with the shaved head? Yes,
Good
that
morning,
is Al.
James Graham. Yes, that's Al. Yes, he's the guy with the shaved head. Do you want to show us who you are, Al? Can you come on full screen for a second here?
I think you would have to click me.
Oh, well then, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Oh, there you are. And I'm saying, what a handsome man you are. Enough of that. Let's get rid of that. That's the only one. Oh, you keep flicking back and forth
So
now.
just click back on you.
Oh, right. Oh, I forgot to click on me. All right. Yeah. Yes. That's the guy with the shaved head.
James is asking.
I actually don't think his head's shaved. I think he's just lost all his hair.
Oh.
I don't know, Al. You want to argue that with me?
I think the truth is somewhere in between.
Okay. All right then.
James is wondering if Al's father had anything to do with boats for some reason.
Did your dad have anything to do with boats, Al? James wants to know.
Unfortunately, nothing to do with boats.
The answer, I can answer that. You can. The answer is no, he didn't. But thank you for that little bit of input, James. We like to have input.
Peggy says hello.
Good morning, Peggy. Is it our Peggy?
Yes.
Oh, about time. Where's she been? Just having fun. Often having fun somewhere. Do we have a question?
We do. Does Grey Eagle appear?
Who
in
is
the
this?
Same, this is from Dean.
Dean, good morning, darling. How are you? Yes.
Does Grey Eagle appear in the same attire each time he comes to you?
He does. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but yes, he does. That's a quick question. Al, do you want to dive in with a question here?
Peggy actually says that, Rosemary, you are an earth angel, such a precious soul.
Well, no, I'm not actually. Peggy, that's so nice of you to say that. You're sweet as always, but no, I'm not an earth angel at all. Not by far from it. You want to see an earth angel? There is the earth angel, not me by a long shot. But yes, is there a question in there?
Yeah, well, Linda actually asked a question related to that.
Good morning, Linda.
Is Dalai Lama an earth angel?
No. You know, when the book is coming, I'm so close now. We're so close. I'm hoping that every other book that I've ever written has been published May 19th, which is my birthday. All dark chocolates to be sent directly to me and not to Carolyn, just so you know.
Like Thomas.
like Tomas. Yeah, exactly. Like Tomas. How is he, by the way? Is he doing okay?
Yes.
Good.
Okay. Okay.
The dark chocolate was good?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. We have a secret thing going on here. We're not going to tell you all about it, but both Tomas and I love dark chocolate. Quite rightly. It is the best ever. And sorry, what? Completely. Anyway, on May 19th, hopefully the book will be out. The new book will be out. I'm working furiously to get it edited now and get it all sorted out. So, and when the time comes for that, you will know all about earth angels because the story of Tomas is in there, and it actually, throughout the story, I think I explain quite clearly what an earth angel is, but I would not personally, I mean, I'm saying no flippantly. I'm asking Grey Eagle. I should have asked Grey Eagle in the first place, and the answer is still no. The Dalai Lama is wonderful and beautiful and so on, as soul as he is not an earth angel. Interesting. So you'll find out what an earth angel is once you read Tomas' story, because we did talk about this. Tomas has a story to tell, and everyone in the world should know his story. And so we're doing our little bit to get it out there. Yeah, next question, Carolyn.
Tubi has a question.
Tubi? I love Tubi. I love the name. Don't you love the name Tubi? Do you know anyone with a name Tubi?
You gave that nickname to this person.
I did.
Yeah, okay.
I did. I call them Tubi.
I am going to take holographic healing classes soon.
What?
If it appears to, I'm going to take holographic healing classes soon. If it appears to be helpful, what's your opinion on that?
I don't have an opinion because I've never heard of it. Actually, I've never heard of it. Have you heard of holographic healing?
No.
I've never heard of it, so I don't know. However, you know, colors are very important in the healing process. and colors are very important to discover different types of energy and different strengths of energy. So I don't know. Maybe you could email us. Who was this writing?
That is the untube, Tubi.
Tubi, maybe you could write and let us know more about it, darling. Email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. I have to keep saying that. I'd be interested to know. No idea. If it's helpful to you, by all means.
And for those of you that are inquiring where to send the chocolate to, send me an email at rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, and I'll send you the address.
Yeah, you got to send to the office. The office address is Rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. Is somebody actually asking? I also like white orchids, roses. Let's see, emeralds. Emeralds are good. Just kidding. Just sending lots of energy and happy birthday wishes is fine for me. Too much chocolate will make me fat, but I do love dark chocolate. Anyway, go ahead. Next question. Al, have you got a question?
Adrian asks, when someone dies, do they recognize famous people that have also passed?
Yes, when we pass to the spirit world, we do have opportunities to meet other people and sometimes well-known people, famous people. If those famous people want to meet us, I'm sure we're able to get together with them. If they don't want to meet us, I don't think there's a chance, just like it is here. I mean, I could call up the Queen of England. Well, I couldn't actually get her office, but I could call and say I want to meet her. Doesn't mean I'm going to. But if she said, yeah, I'd love to meet Rosemary Altea, then we would get together, but otherwise not. So it's a mutual thing that goes on. It's in the spirit world. And again, it's all about choices. It's about making your choices.
All right. Let's see.
Do either of
Real
you,
quick.
hold on, do either of you girls have a question that you'd like to ask? You think about it. We'll have this question. I'll come back to you.
Tubi wants us to know
Okay. Yes.
that she or he is going to an MD, so it's an actual
Medical doctor.
Yes, that does perform.
I'm interested to know more about it. So please write and let us know about it. Was there another question coming in there?
Well, I don't know about a question. Dean says if Rosemary gets too many dark chocolates, direct those packages to me, as my birthday is the week before yours.
Oh.
And Dean also says that you have the loveliest ladies on your couch ever.
Of course we do.
He loves their accents. Yes.
Where you want to tell everyone where you're from?
Uruguay, in South America, next to Argentina.
And Brazil.
Yeah, between Argentina and Brazil.
I've been to Argentina, you know that, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I've been to Brazil. I've not been to Uruguay.
Well, now.
But they showed me a picture of the most incredible beaches. So maybe, you never know, we could get a whole group of people together, right?
All right.
That would be fun, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. So hold on to your hats. We might be going to Uruguay soon. All right. So I'm coming back. Did you have a question? Marta's looking at me. Do you have a question, Marta?
When the other lady asked if we were going to meet the people that people there in heaven.
Yeah.
I just think, are we going to meet the people that we knew here?
Yes.
Are we going to be sure that we are going to?
I'm sure.
You're sure.
I'm sure that when we pass into the spirit world, and I've seen this, I mean, I'm an old lady. I've seen this so many times, countless times over the years. I am absolutely certain, I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever, that when we pass into the spirit world, our loved ones, our family, our friends, they're all there waiting. And I also know that it's often a bit like a party. Everybody meets and everybody's excited. Everyone who knows us and who loves us is very excited for us to be there. They can't wait for us to get there. They know we're coming. And so, while people here are grieving us, they're sad that we've gone and that they're grieving. In the spirit world, it's a completely different thing. It's a totally opposite thing. It's like a big party's happening and everybody is so excited. I did have occasion many years ago to go with a patient of mine, Marjorie. Her name was Marjorie, and she had cancer for many years. And she asked me at the very end if I would actually go with her when she passed. Could I travel with her? And I said that if I could, that I would. And I was really, really lucky. You'll find that story, I think, in my first book, In the Eagle and the Rose. You'll find that the whole story in there about how I went, and I was actually waiting for her with all of her family. All of her family were there, and I was sort of at the end of a very long line of people. And I could see people looking at from one end of the line. I could see them looking down at me, wondering who I was, chattering amongst themselves, probably wondering who I was. And I was there when she actually came through the tunnel. And her family just leapt up and embraced her and took her to them. And the most interesting thing was that, or one of the most interesting things about that experience was that when I knew Marjorie, she'd been ravaged by cancer. She had no hair. She wore an awful wig. She had jaundice, so her skin was very yellow. She looked dreadful. But when I was there and waited for her, and I saw her come through the tunnel, at first I didn't know who she was. I had no clue who she was, because this beautiful, radiant woman with gorgeous hair and beautiful skin and bright, shining eyes. And it took me a minute or two before I realized, oh my goodness, that's Marjorie. She was not sick anymore. She looked beautiful. She looked really, really beautiful. And I thought the transformation, that, literal transformation from being sick to being well again, was just really incredible. She was one of my beautiful patients. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yes.
¿Cuánto tiempo tardamos en dejar el cuerpo?
How long did we last to be away from
How long does it take us to get from
when we pass
from here to the spirit world?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How much time does it take?
When we pass, no?
Yes. When we go through the tunnel, from that moment of leaving our body to arriving,
yes.
how long does it take?
Quickly. Great.
Well, even that is too long. Even that is too long.
Okay.
Fast, very, very fast, very fast. Yeah. In a heartbeat, I'll say in a heartbeat. It's amazing, really. It's amazing. So time in the spirit world is of a completely different essence and time as we know it here. It's very different, but yes, very fast. Al, do we have another question?
Yeah, we have a lot of appearance. How would the people appear in the spirit world? Dean asks, how does Gray Eagle appear? Does he appear in the same attire every day? And I would
we
actually
did that already, but yes.
Okay. All right. So I was cutting in and out a few times, so I apologize. Okay. I would ask Tomas, when he appears and is sitting on the couch, does he look the same as he does for you and his mother? Does he appear the same to you?
No. He's asking, when we look at this photograph of Tomas, is this what I see when I see him, because he's here with us? Is it does he look the same?
Okay.
No, he does not. He looks this is a beautiful picture, but when I see Tomas, he's even more beautiful, because I see the light that shines in him. Whenever I see Tomas, he's always surrounded by the most incredible, beautiful light, and he glows. So although this is a photograph and you get an impression of what he's like, when I see him, he's just more. so much more. You know, it's like any photograph. When you see a photograph of a person, you don't see the light that's within them, do you? You don't see the life or the light that's within them. When I see him, he is so filled with light and love. And even as I'm talking to him, I see him smiling at us, and he would like to say, so he's now,
Yes, hace rato.
was it like
¿Que me quiere decir algo?
so he would now like to say to all of you, that was the last question. He's laughing. This is the last question. So he'd like to close, but he's very excited to be here and sends love to everyone, and to his mother, of course. Very, very excited. Very excited to be on YouTube. So, okay then. So Tomas has had his first world appearance. First world appearance. And he wants us to know that, and he's saying goodbye, everyone. So, so I'd like to say, first of all, Al, thank you very much for your input. Carolyn, thank you for your input. Marta, thank you very much. Claudia, my darling Claudia, thank you for coming. Thank you for bringing Tomas with us. To thank Tomas, of course, to thank Grey Eagle. And until we've run out of time, until I see you all again, email me, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, if you want to join in, if you want to know any more questions, if you want to know any more about healing, please email us. Send your email. Again, I'll repeat it slowly, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com.
It's also in the comments.
It's also in the comments, so you can look at the comments and see it in the comments. And until I see you again next week, I'm going to take Claudia and Marta to the beach. We're going to have lunch at a nice restaurant, actually on the beach. So, because you've never seen the beaches here, right?
No.
So this is going to be their first experience. So think of us. We're going to be sitting outside in this beautiful, warm, sunny. We're in Florida after all. So until I see you again next week, thank you for joining us. Please, please, please have a very, very, very blessed day. And now I have to find that little arrow, and there it is. And did I click it? No, it's still live. Did I do it again? No, it's still live.